right. Oh, and hello. Welcome to the show. It's the show you've been waiting for the last 365 days a year. I don't know what it is. I have no clue, but welcome.
Less this year.
That math is
That's right. It's
off.
less this year. Definitely off as we welcome you to the annual Lanierland Pick'em Show live right here on YouTube today as the crew is here. And if you notice who's here, all the way here on my left, it would be your right. None other than the basketball guru, the Dick Vitale of high school basketball, Chad Pittman in the house.
I've been called worse. We'll take it.
Yeah, about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, probably. Walker, I see you. Quit laughing.
Jeff
I'm laughing
Hart.
at Jeff. I'm not laughing at you, Coach.
Jeff Hart is back on the show.
It is just good to be alive.
So
just
we
tell you
welcome
that.
him back. We also welcome in Seth Chapman, who had a fantastic
Jeff, you scratched your
weekend.
cornea. It's not like you. It's not like you hiked the Appalachian
Hey,
or something
when
He
I
like
was
that,
double
dude.
scratched it.
When I was driving in the car, it looked like my wife was going backwards the entire way, okay? It was bizarre. It was just a weird 3 weeks. I'm just glad to be here.
Seth, welcome to you as well after a fantastic weekend.
It was fantastic.
Joyous.
It was great.
That's good. It's good. Hey, are y'all ready for basketball? Because, we have a state championship football game this week.
I know. And George is in it. I don't know. I mean, can we – maybe January? But here we are with Lanierland. Sure.
So,
Let's get Pitt's pick for that state championship game real quick before we
I
start.
know who he's going with.
Jefferson
He's got a
or
shirt.
Calhoun?
He's got a shirt.
What's that?
You have a shirt.
Shirt.
You know we're live, right, Coach?
I do know we're live.
Oh, okay.
There's 8 people on this, so I'm not sure exactly who you're talking about when you say he has a shirt. There's a lot of he's.
You have a shirt,
There's a lot
so
of
I know who
he's.
you're going to pick for the Class 3A state championship football game on Wednesday, which will be live on FM 102.9.
Drag on.
There it is.
Okay,
there it
It
is.
is.
My wife graduated from there, so, hey, it's a good place.
You coached there too, didn't you?
I did some park and rec stuff there years ago, yeah.
You have to pick them, though, don't you? You have to.
You don't really
but
have to
I think they
pick
do a good job down there. There's a lot of classy people.
Yeah. Speaking of picks, that's what we're going to get to today, as I know there are probably some folks out there just sitting and waiting. And by the way, if you're watching, you can go ahead and submit your picks if you want to. There's a comment box like somewhere down below.
Yeah, jump in the chat.
Jump in the chat, chat it up as we want to get to this. And before we get to this, though, before we get to the picks, I think we need to talk Lanierland tournament this year, guys. And I know Coach has got an opinion on this. I have an opinion. Walker has an opinion. Jeff, I know, has an opinion. Lanierland this year is different than it has been any other year probably in its 65-year history, as it is split the first 2 days and the bracket. The top half of the bracket is at East Hall. The bottom half of the bracket is at North Hall for the first 2 days. The third day is all at Gainesville, which will be on Saturday. So the tournament starts on Thursday at 4 p.m. at both locations. I'm going to open up the floor, and whoever wants to jump in here to talk a little bit about the change this year to the tournament. What say you, Walker? We'll start with you.
Well, yeah, so it's not just
Whoever
the bottom
wants
half
to,
of the
but I'm
bracket.
definitely throwing it to Walker first.
Yeah.
It's not just the bottom half of the bracket is at North Hall the first half of the game, or the first half of the tournament. That could change because, East Hall is going to get to play at East Hall on day 2. So the bottom half of the bracket could switch to the top half of the bracket or become the top half of the
Yeah, you're
bracket just to
confusing us.
allow East Hall to play at home. It becomes confusing. It's really confusing. I understand why Hall County decided to do this, Coach, with Christmas falling midweek, but it just seems like
Coach
it is
can't hear.
It just seems like it's a.
He's
it's a
also
logistical
got
nightmare.
Caleb's. He's got Caleb's janky little. Oh, that might be a thing.
Oh, it's not plugged in. That would be why. Well, Bo, this just seems like an absolute logistical nightmare. But for East Hall and for North Hall, trying to figure out, they know the first
show
4
or
games they're
Lanierland?
hosting.
Seth, you're going to need to come do some
It-
technical
it
work
is.
I
over
got
here.
you.
It is kind of a logistical nightmare when you talk about the way that they've split this in 2 days. Now, I will go on the record, full transparency, that I'm a fan of it before Christmas. So I'm just going to say that.
I don't hate it before Christmas. I don't hate the dates.
I am not a fan of it being split between two. And then, of course, you've got, as you're talking about, if East Hall wins, actually, if East Hall, no matter what, if they win or lose, they get day 2 to play on their home court. But day 1, they play North Hall on their home court, both of them. So, and the way they've got this split up, I have no idea. I was not in the room. I don't know how the logistics worked on this. But I honestly think that this is kind of the craziest thing I've ever heard, to split the tournament into 2 locations.
I would agree with that. I think it's nuts when you have East Hall that has to do all the logistics of having 4 games at their place, but their 2 teams and their fans are going to have to go somewhere else. That doesn't make any sense to me. I've been in the area 30 years. I've never seen this. Not a fan of it. I also, to disagree with you, Bo, I like it after Christmas. Now, it does allow people to go on vacations without having to worry about Lanierland. I get that. But, I don't know. I'm not a fan of what's going on this year. I could be proven wrong. The crowds could be gigantic all 3 days. This crazy two venue system could actually work, but I just don't see how.
Yeah, but
that's
see
gonna
what
work.
I get where you're going with on talking about the crowds. The crowds are going to be probably lower because it's split between the 2 locations, not because it's before Christmas. In my opinion, it's because you're going to have teams at one location and teams at the other location. You're not going to have the people who love to come to the tournament and sit there all day and watch the games in one spot. So that's, to me, that's the case where it kind of goes crazy in some sense, that you've split the 2 in between, because you've got, look at the brackets here. Let's see, who do we have? We got Cherokee Bluff playing at East Hall, the girls' side. We have Cherokee Bluff playing.
Okay, so I can put it up.
So there's that one, but I believe somebody is split. Which team is split? I've not really.
Gainesville.
Flowery Branch.
Split.
Flowery Branch is split, and Gainesville split.
Right. And that is really completely unfair to their fans. Having to, if you want to try to go to both games, you got to drive and you got to pay twice. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do about that. If you pay at one place for the early game, do you get in the second place?
Again,
because you've already bought a ticket.
Coach is back.
I just don't understand any of this, and we're not involved in the decision making. I'm not saying we should be, but maybe I'd like to be. If this is what it's going to be in the future, this is it's goofy. That's
You
just
want to
my
know what
opinion.
makes it cool, though?
What makes it
What?
good?
We fill up the radio waves because we get
That's right.
games on all 3 stations for those first 2 days.
Well, just 2. We're on 102.9 to
that's true.
94.5.
Yeah, I forgot. 550.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my opinion,
Welcome, Coach.
I think it boils down to a few things. So I think, Bo, you said they could chat and do all this. With
They
us, right?
absolutely
Okay,
can chat.
terrific. So I would love the community to hear their voice here. I think there's several questions. Number one, do you want it pre or post Christmas? I think post brings in more money and everybody gets an equal share of the revenue generated from the tournament. Number two, people complain about the seating. I think we could do it to where maybe they partner with us and do a seating reveal like the CFP. I think that would be fun for everybody.
Absolutely.
Ooh,
and
that would be fun.
I think there's enough
Coach.
people, 3, 4, 5 folks that get out and see enough games pre to where they could do a seating for the tournament, which I think will be interesting. The next thing is, I think y'all all made great points about splitting up teams and here and there. I like the idea of one location. I feel like, honestly, Cherokee Bluff's gym with the extra seating upstairs and so forth is big enough to host, and then Gainesville's gym is big enough to host. Doesn't matter. I don't think other people would mind not hosting it, to be honest, because I was at Chestatee and did it for 2 years. It is a huge undertaking. The other thing is, some people say, well, we've got invited to a national tournament or whatever. I have no problem with that. Here's the good news. We have 9 teams that currently participate. Somebody always gets left out if they don't win the playing game. So if you can't make it because your team is good enough to get invited to the national tournament, you're just not in this year. And we have another team that fills
Can
the
slide
spot.
right in, right.
It's easy. And then at the end of the day, money drives everything. I would be interested to compare last year's revenue to this year with it being split, because y'all have all made valid points about that, and I won't hit again. But to me, those are the big questions that need to be answered moving forward.
Well, what do you mentioned you bring up a good point. You and I have talked about this several times about how the seeding works. And we know how the seeding works. It goes off of last year's results. Well, we also know how teams change from year to year. And so you may not be a number 1 seed coming up in the next year. You might be worthy of a number 4 or 5 seed. And there might be somebody that's worthy of a number 1 seed that might be a 5 or 6 seed in the tournament based on 2024-25 results, not last year's results. So I completely agree. I think the tournament needs to be reseeded, and we need to figure out some type of way to do that, whether it's, media involved with it, whether it's coaches involved with it, whether it's, ADs involved with it, or whoever. But, Walker, I think it does need to be reseeded. I've said that out loud several times.
I wholeheartedly agree. I think this year the 1 seeds are probably pretty accurate, though. Lakeview and Cherokee Bluff, I think, are very deserving of 1 seeds, regardless of what happened last year. But like we mentioned multiple times on shows previous years, I mean, 2 through 7 on both sides, really, I think there's a lot of argument as to who should be what seed, because outside of Lakeview girls and Cherokee Bluff boys, I don't know that there's a big difference between the rest of Hall County, at least in that middle portion of the bracket.
Well, if you look at if we're looking at the seedings the way they are, North Hall girls is number 2, Chesadee is number 3. Both of those teams had a lot of changes over the years. North Hall is fighting some injuries this year. It's going to be a tall task for them to get a win in this tournament this year. They're the number 2 seed. I think if we took Coach's idea of, having some sort of seeding reveal, no offense to the Lady Trojans this year, new coach, so, missing some key players.
Key injuries.
I don't know that they'd be in the top half of the seeding this year, but they're going to get a number 2 seed. I mean, that's okay. But, I do think that we need to seed this. For years it was based on records. And there's some merit to that, but then not everybody plays the same kind of schedule.
Strength of schedule.
It is.
Very good. Well, if you take the strength of schedule, which they're actually doing in the PSR, you could actually
for every class.
Yeah, for every class. You could
actually
come up with
we could just seed it off of PSR. That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean it's out there now. That it can be used, whether 4A and above is using it in any of their things or not, but it's there. The numbers are there to look at and see. Walker, you had a great little blog column on Access, about did it work? And I think in some instances it did. Football, I think it worked pretty well. When you look at all the.
But we're talking Lanierland here,
I
so
understand. But what I'm saying is the PSR could work.
It could work.
It could very well work and work well if you want to use something that's somewhat uniform throughout the GHSA. I'm not sure if Lakeview is involved in the PSR.
They're not.
They are.
We'd have to figure out.
We'd have to figure out something on Lakeview.
I think you could base it from that, and then probably come up with a Lanierland ranking system.
Right. I think one thing, and I don't want to call anybody out, because we have a good rapport with all of the powers that be in Hall County and Gainesville, but and I don't know. Look, there might be some.
Why does it
egos.
sound
There might
like
be
that's
some
exactly
egos.
what you're about to do?
Yeah, he's about to hit it.
I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it.
Well, there might be
Slowly chopping at it.
Right. Jealousy and egos. We need to get that out of the way. We need to do what's right for the tournament moving forward. It's been a great first 65 years. If they want this tournament to continue for 65 years down the road, and we'll all be long gone by then, they need to figure out a system that works for everything, whether it's from which gyms to use so that you can generate the most revenue for all the schools and come up with a proper and as fair as you can get seating process.
That brings up another idea. Should the tournament expand, Coach?
No. I like the fact that it's local. It's a big thing. It's a big deal for this community. I like the way it's run. That's why I say we've got 9, and if somebody did get invited, you've got somebody that maybe didn't get to participate. So
Well, it is called Lanierland, right?
it is.
So what about the other side of Lake Lanier?
Forsyth. They're the only ones to win at the Forsyth County Garden.
I'm just saying. I mean,
right.
I'm throwing it out there just for a little fodder
Well,
there to see.
it's
if
kind of
somebody
the
can
same idea
get
in the
mad at me.
CFP. Are they going to go to 16? Year after
Yeah, they
next,
should.
and all this. So, like, I think
They
the
should.
4-day tournament.
the general
Ooh.
idea that the folks had 65 years ago, it was Gainesville, Johnson, East Hall. Johnson was actually South Hall still
Right.
the first year or two of it. But, I mean, you had 4, and it just expands as the county expands. I like it. I think some of these tournaments that have people from all over, less interest from this community, less people in the stands, and so forth. So I think this is a big deal, especially now that the teams are in different regions.
But how cool would it be to have a other side of Lanier bracket and this side of Lanier bracket, and then the two come together to play for the championship?
Well, the cool factor maybe, but what we're discussing is we can't even all agree, and the community can't agree on how we're doing it now. You add
good point.
8 more teams. and
We're
it's
all
like,
agreeing.
Wow. I don't know. I think tweak
That's a
where
good
we're at,
point.
and I think we're in really good shape. I think it'll be interesting to see how this one shakes out this weekend for sure.
I would agree how this one's going to shape out this weekend. I think we start looking at some of these teams. We'll start at the girls' side of the bracket here. My personal opinion, I think the boys' side is going to be probably the better side if you're looking at these matchups. But then you never know, because Lanierland is quick to change the narrative of whatever's going to happen as we go into the tournament, because you know how crazy it is. But
I think the semifinals of the boys is going to be great.
But Coach, I know you've really dove deep into this, and you've seen a lot of teams as we look at the girls' side of the bracket. And let's go ahead and throw some picks out there. What's your thoughts overall on this bracket?
Well, I've been able to get out. Me and my son, we like to travel and coach from the stands like many folks do. So that's a lot of fun, so that's good. But I have seen several teams. It seems like this year that several people have 2 or 3 above average players, and then they've just got other kids that play hard, which that's not as from a coach's standpoint, that's not a problem. That's a good thing to have that. But there are a couple teams, girls' side and boys' side, that have more than a couple. And I think that puts them, a little head and shoulders above the rest maybe. There are some intriguing matchups on both sides, especially day 2. I think day 2 is one that people are going to have trouble deciding on. Am I driving north or east to watch those games? So that'll make that difficult. But, let's jump in with some picks. Just let me know where we want to go first.
Let's start, guys. Let's start over at East Hall. We'll just start at the top of the bracket, and we'll go. We didn't do an order in the picks, so it really doesn't matter how we go. But Lakeview and West Hall, by the way, who's in the tournament the first time in a couple seasons, they are 3-5 of the year. Lakeview 6-2 of the year. West Hall with the trifecta. A pretty good little freshman class there. But do they have enough to knock off number 1 seed Lakeview and defending champion? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first and be brief.
There it is.
I do like the fact that they're much improved. 3-5. They got some good young players coming up. I know they're trying to rebuild that program back up. But Lakeview is loaded, even without Dynasty Putman, who I think is going to be back for the tournament. I know she had been out the early part of the season. Lakeview is, they're the defending, GIAA state champs for Class 3A. They're going to be a hard matchup for everybody. I think Lakeview wins this pretty handily, but I do like what West Hall's doing.
I would agree.
I will.
I'll go ahead and throw Lakeview out there as my pick.
I'll say this. I don't think West Hall is going to be playing in the play-in game next year. I think that having to face Lakeview in the first round with that young class, tough matchup. But I do think that they have the ability to win a game in Lanierland this year with those 3 freshmen. Picking Lakeview, but will not be shocked to see West Hall be in some games in the consolation side of the bracket and potentially win one.
Lakeview's about 8 deep. The only difference when they sub is the number on the back of the jersey and maybe how tall they are. So they're really good. So Lakeview advances.
Yeah, Lakeview with one of the if not the tallest post in the tournament on the girls' side. Okay, Cherokee Bluff and Gainesville. That game, a 4 p.m. tip-off there. By the way, the late
Do I
game
just get
at
to sit
7.
here and produce this
Oh,
one?
no, you get to pick, too. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
My bad.
I just wanted to make sure. I should have just kept my mouth shut. Is what I should have done. I should have just not said anything.
You need the teams again,
If
Seth.
we're
Are you
gonna
paying
make people
attention?
mad, you do too, Seth.
Lakeview West
No,
Hall.
I'm not. I'm not here. Bye.
Lakeview West Hall, Seth.
You wanted to pick. Let's go.
Coat Tells, Lakeview West Hall.
Oh, that one's Lakeview. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find the right pip screen, but Lakeview.
Okay, so Cherokee Bluff and Gainesville. I've kind of done these backwards, so I've flipped the bottom half. 4 p.m. tip-off for this game. Cherokee Bluff, Gainesville. Bluff 7-3. Gainesville 6-3 of this one. Wow. Bluff, I think, it has the best guard duo in the county. Maybe pushing in North Georgia with Claire Carlson and Bristol Kirsch.
When they play up to their
When
abilities.
they play to
yes.
their abilities,
Absolutely.
no doubt. Gainesville has a lot of youth over on the team, but they still have Julia Payne and Maddie White and Kelsey Lester, who came on strong for them last year. I think this will be close early, but I think in the end, Bluff pulls away in this one.
I do too. I think Gainesville's another one of those teams we weren't sure what they were going to have and how they were going to come into the season. 6-3, they've started pretty strong. But I like this Bluff team. I liked this Bluff team last year. They're a year older. Really like this Bluff team. I think Bluff wins this game.
Walker, me?
Walker?
Yeah, I can go. I can go next. I agree with you, Jeff. I think this Bluff team gave Lakeview probably their toughest challenge in Lanierland last year in that first game at 9 a.m. on day one. I like the Cherokee Bluff Lady Bears to try and get a rematch against those Lady Lions in the second day.
All right, let's move down after
Gainesville's-
Coach goes. Sorry,
Pittman.
Coach.
So you're good.
Pittman.
You're good. Gainesville's about defensive pressure, and they want to make you turn the ball over. But between Kirsch and Carlson, Kirsch may be the best natural guard that we'll see in the tournament with what she does. They'll handle the pressure, and I think they'll win the game.
Seth, make sure we get Seth this.
Seth. Today.
I'm going to go with
Coattails.
Cherokee Bluff on
That
this one.
way. Okay.
Yeah,
All
this
right.
is actually, since Lanierland is kind of scheduled like this so close to the football playoffs and whatnot, this will probably be like the least amount of teams I have seen before going into Lanierland in
Yeah.
the history of doing this.
All right, so the other 4 p.m.
Good luck, Seth.
The other 4
I am
p.m.
the least
game,
prepared that I have ever been.
as we shift and travel over to North Hall, the other 4 p.m. game is against number 3 seed Chastity and number 6 seed Flowery Branch. The Lady War Eagles 4-4 coming in are right now in the tournament, are starting today. Flowery Branch is 2-10 overall. I'll go ahead and start with this one. I think this is like the third straight year or the second straight year these two teams have met in the first round.
Yeah, it's become like a pretty good rivalry.
It has. But I think the Lady War Eagles, I think they get them there. They have a really good freshman, Allie J. Bull, that is getting some really good minutes for them, but they probably could end up really cracking the starting lineup toward the end of the year. Sorry, Coach. I know you wanted to keep that a secret, but she's not anymore.
Yep.
So you also got Boyd over there and the other Bull over there. So
They're full of bull,
They
and they're pretty good.
it seems like the Bull family has a lot of kids that's rolling through Chestatee. But yeah, so I'm going to pick the
And a
Lady
lot
War
of very
Eagles in
good
this one. A
bull
lot-
kids that play really good basketball.
That's
I'm
right.
taking the Lady War
Yeah.
Eagles as well.
Listen, it's like the Bulls are the new DeGraffs for Chestatee. You know, they had like how many 10, 15 DeGraffs come through Chestatee the first 20 years. It seemed like there was a DeGraff on the team at least for the first 2 decades. But the Bulls are spitting out some talent. And I like Chestatee. I think they're going to win this game. I'm not sure how deep they're going to go, but I like them in this game.
I think Lady War Eagles win, but not only in this first game, but throughout the tournament, for them, it's going to come down to how well do they shoot it and can they not turn it over, which, again, that's most every team, but specifically for them because they shoot a lot of threes.
Yes. Seth?
Seath?
Chesty being one of the only team in the Lanierland bracket that I've seen so far this year, I'm going to go with Chestatee on this one. We are still working on getting an active Sutton Shirley translator on the sideline, but we've not met anybody that can,
Seth, we saw him
can
at
do
White
it.
County. Was he not somewhat calm in that game?
Yeah, he looks fine. We
was
like to
unnerving.
poke at Sutton.
It was
but-
unnerving to
Wait,
watch him on the
Sutton
sideline.
calm? What?
Yes, for Sutton, it was.
I'm still in favor of us doing like a mic'd up segment with a coach every week, and just putting it out on our YouTube page. And so I think Sutton would be a great pilot episode for that.
I think it would be a great episode.
It'd be a great series.
Is if we could get if Sutton coached boys and we could get them to play Joe Dix in East Hall, and then we
that
could
would-
have
oh.
the cam set up for
Oh, man.
the tie and jacket coming off and the shirt
Coming
untucked on Sutton. That would be
2 cameras just on the bench.
Yeah.
Who
We
cares about the
stage a
game?
bit where in the middle of the game they both equally get mad and trade outfits in
Yeah.
the middle of the court.
and we definitely have to see what is it Coach Dix does the stomp of the
stomping
foot,
of the foot.
and then we see Sutton do the hippity hoppity down the
Hippity hoppity.
yeah, that would be good.
You gonna get a text after this, Bo. You gonna get a text
Probably
after
already
this.
got a text.
I was
to be
about to say,
honest.
he might have a text already.
Oh,
You better let us know when that text comes in, Bo.
all right, let's move on to that.
Well, they
He's
didn't
watching
pick
his
over
phone.
Coach has already picked. hasn't he?
Oh, that's right. You did
Yeah.
pick. Everybody picked.
Everybody's
My bad.
picked.
My
All
bad.
right, let's move down to the 7 p.m. tip-off over at North Hall. East Hall at North Hall. East Hall 5-3. North Hall at 3-4. We talked earlier about North Hall and their injuries. New coach over there with Anna Claire Atha trying to get her system going there. Brad Cochran seems to have his system going. Amari Burris in there. Kaylana Curry. Butler.
Watkins.
Watkins. Hopefully she's healthy. But you've got, that group at East Hall playing against this group at North Hall. I'm not going to pick this one first. So, Jeff, you're going to pick first on this one, and
okay.
Have at it.
Listen, I really like what East Hall's doing early in the season. They look like they have the chemistry that they've been trying to build the last 2 or 3 years. I think I think they go on the road. Since they're on the road at North Hall, essentially, I think they go on the road and I think they win this game.
Well, key fact or key stat. They've already played each other back on November 12th, I believe it was.
Big East Hall.
Yeah, it was-
And East Hall rolled to that in that one, Coach.
Yeah,
It
I
wasn't
was
a
over
roll.
Not
there.
really
but
a
this
roll.
is- No.
It was an 8-point win.
I was there. It went to overtime actually,
Okay.
and I was really impressed on the improvements East Hall had made, especially 20 Watkins the post, because I thought late in the game she was definitely the difference. Her footwork was really phenomenal. Some of the moves she made around the basket. North Hall, as we have said, 2 girls hurt with ACLs out that would have been big-time contributors this year. So now it's kind of been the youth movement of late, from what I understand. They've sped the game up, pressing more and so forth. But I do like East Hall in this one because of the 2 guards, Burse and Curry. Both are seniors, very seasoned, handle the basketball well. So if they don't turn it over, Watkins plays well. And obviously cannot let Athena V go off for 50 in that game at the home court there. But I think East Hall pulls out a very close, tough win in that first round.
Yeah.
See, I'm gonna go.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna go the other way because that game at East Hall went to overtime. It was at East Hall. This one's at North Hall. The home crowd's going to be there behind the Lady Trojans. I think that the Lady Trojans have also grown a lot since what was the 3rd game of the season, I think, for the Lady Trojans at East Hall. Now they've got 9, 10, 11 games under their belt under new coach AC Atha. So I like North Hall in this one. I think that they've grown. They're going to pressure East Hall a little bit more now than maybe they did that first go round, force some extra turnovers, get some easy baskets. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any stretch, but I think that North Hall has the edge.
Seth?
Is that me again? Back to me once more. I'm gonna follow Walker. I'm gonna go coattails on this one. I think North Hall plays a big part in it, being at home. So we'll go North Hall.
Well, if you look at the schedule, You see them playing top 10 ranked Pickens, right? To 53-46 loss in that one. Showing a little bit of improvement there. Of course, you go back to December 6th, the White County matchup, 67-43 in that game. You know, how much
White County is loaded.
How much are they improving? It seems like they have shown some improvement. North Hall, that is. This was a hard pick for me because I think East Hall gets the edge in this one. So I'm going to go with East Hall getting the win here. So we've set up into the semifinals. We've set up Chestatee and East Hall.
By the way, one thing I just noticed, we were worried you got all these 6-3-8 teams in it and 8-3-8 teams. There was only one matchup of region teams in the first round. It wasn't by design. It's interesting. You got, Bluff and West Hall boys playing.
Well, it is by you're talking about first round?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. It's so I kind of like that because I don't think we want to see too many of the – because, again, East Hall and North Hall, they're not in the same region, but they played. But if you had a lot of these region teams, they might play each other 2, 3, 4 times a year.
Well, they've done that.
Yeah.
The
Well, I
past
know. I'm
as
just
well.
glad this year we didn't have that.
All right, we've got the semifinals set up, guys, with Lakeview and Cherokee Bluff, and we've got Chestatee and East Hall. Now, here's where the bracket will flip, regardless, because East Hall will play at home, so they'll flip up, and I assume that the semifinal will be whatever change that East Hall will be playing at East Hall. So we'll worry about that when this happens, but. Here we are, Lakeview and Cherokee Bluff. Who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Oh.
So I think the difference of this game is Lakeview's size. If you look at roster, if I can pull it up right quick, hopefully.
You got paper.
The Gaither, her last name is Gaither, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
She's 6'2". Then they have Marshall 6'4" and Williams at 6 foot. And then their guard play is very solid.
Oh, yeah.
So I think on the flip of the coin, the Bluff, Carlson, and Kirsch, guard for guard, that's going to be a really fun thing to watch. But I think the difference is going to be around the basket. And then the fact that Lakeview's just their depth is going to, I think, take hold in the end. So I'm giving Lakeview girls the edge.
I'll go next. I totally agree with everything Coach just said. I think Gaither inside is going to be the real difference. I think the guard play is really the thing to watch as far as you want to watch great matchups. But they're going to be able to lob it into Gaither, and I'm not sure that Bluff has anything that can really stop her. She could easily have a big double-double in this game. I think it's close because it was a close game last year, but I like Lakeview again.
If Cherokee Bluff is able to force some turnovers, maybe
put the pressure up on Lakeview and not allow them to get into the half court. I think maybe this game goes to the favor of the Bluff. But with as many returning players as the Lady Lions have, until somebody knocks them off, I just don't know how you pick against them. So Lady Lions.
Hey, where's that Lakeview roster? Let me see that roster. Can you pull that up, Coach?
I've got it right here. I believe. Yes, sir.
There you go.
All right. So Dynasty, as we've talked about, has been out, right?
Right.
And is hopeful for the tournament.
That's correct. The way I understood it.
So Emery Combs has been one that has stepped up for Lakeview. I think she was averaging around 22 points
as a youngster
2-3
last
weeks
year,
ago.
like a freshman, she was
so she's really stepped up for them. So that'll be interesting to watch the guard play of that game. I tend to agree with Coach, though, and with Walker and with Jeff about the size of the posts. And I think that's going to be where the difference is in this game. So I'm going to go with Lakeview to make it back to the finals on Saturday at Gainesville.
Defending champions from last year.
That'd be true.
And
state champion.
GIA state champions.
Good job.
Gia.
Thanks very much. Gia, we'll call it Gia. I knew that was coming next. I knew it. I knew that. Dadgummit. I'm gonna go Lakeview. I think Lakeview's got this one.
Okay, the next one down is Chestatee and East Hall.
Or in
for
Seth and
for
I's
everybody?
case, North Hall.
I think a few pick North Hall.
Yeah, if you pick North Hall, that's right. If you pick North Hall, who picked North Hall? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Okay. There's the hands raised.
How about we'll let the East Hall people go first?
So East Hall people go first, and the North Hall people will go second.
Okay.
So
Go ahead.
I'm going to go Chestatee on this one just because of experience. They've been in these big games before. I think Bull has an excellent tournament. The way East Hall, in my opinion, could pull off, quote, the upset would be their pressure defense. If they turn Chestatee over a lot of times, then that gives them an edge. But I think it'll be a very competitive game, but I do like the Lady War Eagles.
Oh, why don't you go next?
Yeah, here's Chestatee again, trying to break through, trying to get over that hump and try to make the championship game. I feel like, agreeing with Coach, that they do have that experience. So I'm going to pick the War Eagles to get to the championship game.
Look, I like Chestatee, and I love what Sutton does, and you look at the guard play that they have, and they can definitely shoot it. Me and Seth saw that at White County. They can definitely shoot it, but I think what they don't have is they got hurt at White County because White County had a really good center that was able to dominate the game. I mean, like 20 points, 15, 16, 17 rebounds. And I kind of see that. I see Watkins as a big factor in this game. I think guard play, East Hall can match them. And I'm picking the Lady Vikings to get into the championship game.
Ooh.
Hello, North Hall folks.
Yeah, see, so I've got Chestatee and North Hall, so do you, Seth. And I think the big difference in this game is both teams are young, but I think that Chestatee has a few more weapons, and especially if they're hitting shots. So I like Chestatee to knock off North Hall in that semifinal, but I think it's an excellent game and a potential preview of maybe a spot of trying to get into that 6-3A region championship game.
Oh,
Could
yeah.
be. Could
I
be.
definitely agree with that. I think the ball's going to be in the air a lot during this game. I think we're going to see a lot of threes flying in the air. And I think a good portion, what might determine that, I mean, it's obviously you got to get points. But I think who's landing those threes. Both teams can get three heavy at points. And I think whoever's hitting those a little bit better is obviously
who's
gonna
hitting
come
them,
out
Seth?
on top.
Did you say 3 happy?
I think he
Nice.
did.
I like it.
You like it?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
That's-
that was a
3
good
happy.
one.
I'm going to use
So
that
who'd you
one.
pick?
I never. Here's the problem.
I'm
When
gonna
Bo
use
says
that one.
something like "I like it," I never know when he's making fun of me or when he's serious.
Yeah, that was
So-
good.
Okay, so
And he smiled while he said
Yeah,
it. There you
yeah,
go.
yeah.
we
This is-
see.
this is what
there
I'm
it is.
looking at,
That's the
folks.
look
This
right
is
there.
what I've got to look
3
at.
happy.
Don't worry about his approval. Just keep
I
rolling.
like it.
So who'd you pick?
I like it a lot.
I want to go Chestatee. I'm going to go Chestatee coming here and.
Oh, I thought you were going to go complete homer again. I really did.
Okay, so nobody picked North Hall, and Jeff picked East Hall, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the championship, everybody picked Lakeview, correct?
Yes.
That is correct.
Okay, so Lakeview battling either Chestatee or East Hall. So Jeff,
I tell you, I'll go first.
you go
then.
first.
I think this has the potential to be
championship.
a really good game. But like Seth said a second ago,
Yeah, post battle.
defending champs, they have the experience. They've got the guard play. Defending state champs.
8 deep.
I'm going to go with Lakeview for the repeat. They had never won this tournament in their 20-something years of being in it, and they're going to repeat this year. That's my pick.
BTP, back to back.
I think that this game is more about depth, and I think that in our matchup we've got Lakeview and Chestatee now. I think everybody does. I think that Lakeview is just the deeper team in terms of talent coming off the bench, 6, 7, and 8. I think they beat Chestatee 6, 7, and 8, and I think that's the difference when you're talking about 3 games in 3 days. Give me Lakeview to win this and go, like Jeff said, back to back.
Yeah, I agree with what you said, Walker. The depth is going to be a factor. The post play is going to be a factor. Does Chestatee have enough on the outside game to keep up with the post play and their outside attack? And the 3 happies, told you I'd use it again. I'm going to pick the Lions to win the championship and go back to back.
So I'm going with Lakeview as well. I think it will be very interesting to see the scheme. I always like Sutton does a good job scheme. I think he does a good job coaching. Besides his antics that we all laugh at, that's a bonus. But I like the scheming. He'll have a good game
The
plan.
coach that comes
I'm
with
certain
bonus features.
I'm certain if he makes it to the championship like we're predicting, he'll have a good scheme and a good plan. I'm just not sure they're going to be able to handle the pressure and the waves of scoring throughout by Lakeview. So Lakeview repeats.
I just want to know if Sutton gets to the championship game, is he really going to pull his shirt, or is he going to try to
Mo's
look?
mouthing at
Is
me
he going to
watch
try to look
this, so
sharp?
he's about to say something.
I think this is a good point to play the feature that we have on Sutton.
Oh, okay. Let's
Just
go.
kidding. Just kidding. All right, guys. So we've all picked Lakeview.
for that.
I was
You're
waiting
wrong
for
for
that.
We've all picked Lakeview to win the girls' side. So let's move over to the boys' side of the bracket. All right. Do we want to start with the top or the bottom? Do we want to start at North Hall or East Hall? Somebody tell me.
Let's
Let's
start
just
at
start
East Hall again. We did it
East
with the
Hall?
girls. Let's
Yeah,
do it
let's
with
start
the
at the
boys.
top.
All right, we'll start at East Hall, but I'm going to start in order this time. So the 5:30 game at East Hall is Lakeview, the 5 seed, who is 6-3, playing the 5-7 4 seed Flowery Branch. And I think, Coach, I don't know if you've seen Flowery Branch play, but I believe Flowery Branch, they came out of the gate strong. They are a very young team, though. They are trying to build something over there. Do they have enough against Lakeview, who is
Defending state champs.
defending state champs and are pretty deep?
Well, I got to see Lakeview play Saturday evening against a good Walker team, and it was close down to the stretch. I was impressed with the big kid. I think he's gotten better and better. Last name Ware. Like, he is a load. I'm not sure that Flowery Branch has an answer for him. I know that Coach Hawkins and assisted by Coach Tyler Sanders there will have, again, a good game plan for that to try to pull off the upset, in my opinion. But I think too much wear throughout, and I'm not sure that Flowery Branch is – this year they've had a tough time scoring the ball at times, so I think it'll come down to I'm not sure they can score enough to beat Lakeview.
I'll go next. I would agree with that. I think, maybe early on Flowery Branch might be able to hang with them, but the depth at Lakeview and what Coach Wood and Coach Coleman are over there doing, you got to love it. And so I'm taking Lakeview.
Yeah, Lakeview getting some of their football guys a little bit late this year. So I'm sure they're still trying to get into that basketball shape as well. But you talk about Taden Weir and his play. Coach said it right. He's a load. So I think this Lakeview team is just going to continue to get better and better as the season goes on. And I think Lakeview is just going to be too much for Flowery Branch. So the Lions advance in my bracket. Walker?
Yeah, Taden Ware is the difference for Lakeview in this one. He can do it all. Stretch the floor, has the ability to hit the jumper, definitely handles the ball well, very
Long and athletic. I think that Lakeview has the edge. Will be an interesting semifinal, though, if everybody picks the way that I think we're about to.
Seath, what say you?
I say coattails.
Okay.
Okey-doke.
So he's going with Lakeview. Okay, 9-1 Cherokee Bluff, who is absolutely red hot on fire to start the season, against West Hall, who's 5-5, the 8 seed, who won the play-in game over Johnson, who was dealt a tough hand at the beginning of the season with their big guy Turk Tilley going out with injury. So that was kind of talking to Coach. It kind of forced him to kind of redo some things with their lineup there, obviously. But they're playing against a very good Cherokee Bluff team, Boston Kirsch, Cooper Glover, Tyler Underwood. I mean, it just keeps going, Coach, and the amount of talent they have over at Cherokee Bluff, who are the defending champs, the number 1 seed, the first ever. I guess the question I have for everybody, can they go back-to-back this year? What do you think, Coach?
I think they can.
Well, we'll know in a few minutes.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
I think they can.
I think there's some interesting.
I
picks
think
on
there are
this
some
bracket.
interesting picks. So who wants to pick
Absolutely.
this game
I'll
first?
I will say this, and I'll pick the Bluff West Hall there. Coach Graham, I don't think he gets enough credit for what he does. He's a great,
Absolutely.
a great guy. Number one, high character, makes his kids do right. Has a disciplined program, has great relationships with his players, and does a great job. Just undermanned in that first game against the Bluff, will not be able to outscore them. So Cherokee Bluff wins that game.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I think
I'm taking Bluff.
The way the guards play, for Cherokee Bluff, I think they're just so deep, and they can just trot other guys out there and continue to keep pressure up defensively and also handle the ball offensively. So I think Cherokee Bluff, like you said, Coach, just too deep.
Yeah, I completely agree on that. Too deep for them. I've seen the stats come in for Kirsch and for the whole team, Glover and all of them, and it's one night it's Kirsch, Glover, Underwood, all those guys they have. Bluff advances. Seath.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Bluff, coming off the win last year, I think they come into this coming in red hot, like you said. I think Bluff takes this one.
So we all have Bluff and Lakeview.
We've all got Bluff and Lakeview, which will be an interesting matchup.
Ooh, will it?
Yes. So let's move down to North Hall, as we'll start with the 5:30 matchup. North Hall, East Hall. East Hall, the 6th seed at 6-1. North Hall, the 3 seed at 5-3. These two have already played each other back on November 12th.
I'm going to go last. I want to go last in this one.
Okay.
I'm going to go last in this one.
I was at that game, a little sloppy. East Hall, I think, ended up winning by 20 or so, but very sloppy on both ends. It was early in the season. I have not gotten to watch East Hall again, but have been able to see North Hall, and I feel like they have improved already. They've got some football kids out now, so I'm not sure the football kids necessarily are terrific basketball players, but they're really good athletes, and anytime you can add athletes to your roster, that's always a bonus. So it does add depth, especially with Coach Jarvis. He likes to press and get after you, so that helps them. East Hall, though, you guys will have to help me here. He was the quarterback. Help me.
Marcus Harrison.
Marcus Harrison.
He may be one of the best guards. Just his size.
Apologies
his
for everybody watching right now that's only seeing this bracket. My program is frozen, and I have no idea what's going on.
And so forth with him, does a great job. Then the football player, big-time receiver.
Jason Jones.
Okay, like him, solid. And then the Langston kid, wow, really improved from last year to this year, kind of coming into his body and his athleticism. And then I'm going to call him the glue guy. His dad's new assistant coach, Richardson. Mm-hmm. I think he could be the guy that bonds all that together. He makes the little plays. He's really fundamentally sound. So with saying all that, Emerson for North Hall has been shooting it lights out. Holtzy, I think, has already scored 1,000 points for his career. So there's some good pieces on both. I just think East Hall has got just a couple of more pieces and will win this game. But in my opinion, it may be the best matchup day one, both sides of the bracket.
Yeah, and I think I think we say that because they've already played each other. You've got Jarvis Davenport, you got Joe Dix, who know each other very well. So there's no doubt that North Hall is going to come into this game ready to play and avenge that loss early season, because it is Lanierland. But on the flip side of that, Coach Dix is going to have his guys ready to roll. And as Coach said, I mean, they're just continuing to improve. North Hall will as well. It's going to be a very, 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 very good battle. And, Coach, I'm glad you and I have this game, by the way, on day one on FM 102.9. I'm going to pick East Hall, though, to win this game. Walker?
Yeah, I'll be sitting right next to you guys, getting ready to go on the air for the second two of that day. And I'm glad that I'm in that gym to watch this one, because I think it's going to be a fantastic game. I just think, though, that the pressure that East Hall can bring speeds this game up maybe a little faster than what North Hall wants to play. So I'm going to take East Hall off the transition game in this one. I think that they're going to be better in transition.
Seth?
Give me Joe Dix and the Vikings.
Okay. Hit the button, Seth. You know the button.
Oh, can you find the button?
I have to find the button.
He has to find the button.
No.
Go ahead and start your.
Okay.
Do you want us to
Look, I like what Coach said. I really like what East Hall. I kind of felt like they were going to be the team this year that I was looking at.
Live.
I was looking at that can make the most improvement. There's my pick right there.
There it is, folks. East Hall. We've all got East Hall advancing, right?
Yep.
We do.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, the 8:30 game, Gainesville the 2 seed at 7-3. Chestatee, the 7 seed at 1-8. Chestatee is rebuilding over there, reloading.
Yes.
Lost a lot of talent. Their leading scorer, Colton Wilbanks, who was big time for them. Gainesville has a deeper roster. I'm going to go Big Red in this game.
I'm going to go Big Red also. I would like to hope that Chestatee can keep it close, but Gainesville just seems like they're ready to kind of break loose this year. I really like the Red Elephants in this one.
Bo, a lot of times you don't use the word big, you use the word
Huge.
so it's not Big Red, it's Huge Red because they are 6'6", 6'7", 5-star linebackers, 6'4",
Xavier.
And probably the best athlete in North Georgia. And then they
And now healthy, right?
healthy.
Big Red is not just
And then
big,
they've got
it's
another guy, I think it's a
Biggest red
junior,
it's ever been.
Charlie. Let me look.
Gershmel.
Thank you for that pronunciation. Who is also like 6'7".
That's
Too
bigger
much
than
size. That's like when you look at him, it's like a small college team
Yeah.
on the floor. So Gainesville wins.
Hello, beautiful people of Gainesville. Go ahead, Steve.
Oh, man.
I don't need to say anything else. You guys nailed it, Big Red.
All right, Seth, and then you go ahead.
I'll take Huge Red.
You're making fun, but you wait till you watch them. I know you haven't seen them play.
No,
I'm not making fun.
he was making fun of
He's-
Trump.
He's got the
He's got the
president-elect impersonation going.
Huge. All right, so we picked a Cherokee Bluff Lakeview semifinal match, and we picked a East Hall Gainesville semifinal.
When was the
Everybody
last time
actually
we've done
agreed.
that? When was the last time we've
We
ever done
actually agreed. So I can tell you with certainty that East Hall Gainesville game will be at East Hall. Therefore, making
8:30 at East Hall.
that's right. Therefore, making the Cherokee Bluff Lakeview game at North Hall.
If East Hall wins.
If East Hall
correct,
win,
then
I think
yes,
it's either way.
either
If they-
way.
yeah.
Okay.
But
Either way, they'll go to East Hall.
either way,
but,
they'll go to East
in
Hall.
this scenario, it would be 8:30
Right.
at East Hall.
But
Yeah.
if they win, it would be yes.
So which game do you want to pick first?
I don't know, but can I just say this might be the two best semifinal boys games we've had in the last few years.
It's going to be.
I think this is it's just a shame all these games aren't in the same place.
I know.
We've already discussed
We've already
that.
discussed that.
Let's
So
not beat that horse anymore.
let's go back to East Hall since that's the way we started the bracket, and let's pick the Cherokee Bluff Lakeview
Well,
semi
that would be the North Hall game.
final. Yes. Okay. Whatever.
Yeah.
North Hall game.
That's correct.
Fine. Let's do that.
So confusing.
It is confusing.
So
So
top half of the bracket.
top
as
half of the
currently
bracket.
constructed.
So Cherokee Bluff Lakeview.
I'll go first because
Okay. I didn't want to, so I'm glad you jumped in.
I think that Taden Ware is going to play a big part in this game just based off of the mismatches that I think Lakeview can get with him. But the way that Cherokee Bluff is playing right now and some of the teams that they've beaten on their way to being number 2 right now in the PSR for AAA, I think they're just playing too well right now. And I think that they are just, I don't know that they're deeper, but I think that their talent is going to be able to outshine Lakeview's talent by the ever slightest amount. And I'm going to take the Bears.
Didn't these two guys play last year?
They did. I'm pretty sure.
Pretty sure. Okay, so I'll
They
go.
would have played in the first
Listen,
round, I think.
I will
Yeah.
go next here because you have two things working for you. You've got Lakeview, who's never won a Lanierland championship, correct? They have a head coach.
Cindy Wood on the sideline, who's won a lot.
They have a head coach who's won 5 times, I believe, at 3 different schools. You've got Cherokee Bluff, who wants to go back-to-back. So, it also, again, Cherokee Bluff and their former coach, they're playing their former coach. This is a hard
And
pick.
Taden Ware played at Cherokee Bluff as well, I
Yes,
believe.
yeah, this is a tough pick for me. The Bears.
I'll go next.
I just said it,
Yeah.
but it could go either
I
way.
thought you were going to flip a coin. It's
Yeah, I
good.
didn't know. I was confused myself. It's,
I did in my head.
we've already gotten one tweet, saying please pick against Bluff. Everybody, they wanted us to pick up Vince Bluff because they used that as motivation last year.
I didn't see that tweet.
Yeah,
so sorry.
I'm going to tell you, I think the difference in this is going to be, look, you've got two teams that are very experienced at winning something. I mean, Lakeview went all the way and won the GIA state title, but the Bears won Lanierland last year. And I think that was the kind of thing that the Coach Travis and Cherokee Bluff needed, was they needed to be able to learn how to finish and win something. I'm taking the Bears because I think they know how to win in this tournament now, and I'm not saying Lakeview doesn't because Benji Wood certainly knows how to do. But I mean, when you look at their roster, they got 3 or 4 guys over 6'2". They got tall guards, and they can play inside and out. I really like Bluff in this one.
So I was fortunate to get to see Lakeview Saturday, and I definitely like what I saw. Especially we've already talked about Ware. But then the Sadler kid, good athlete, 6'5" or so himself. Ellis, the guard, I think, who moved in, I thought he was pretty solid. Thompson and Graham, also 2 guards, I think, that are solid. So I like those 5 kids for sure. I got to see them play the most. Obviously, I'm sure there's some other pieces there. The Bluff right now, I've been able to watch them several times. Underwood is an undervalued guard in this area. I think he has really come on. He does a great job, real physical and strong. The Glover kid, sneaky athletic lefty who can score the ball well. Kirsch, over 1,000 points in his career. Him and Glover, in my opinion, can extend the floor. They can play at the three-point line. They can score around the basket, do a lot of things. And then this Saturday night, they beat a quality team in Seconder in overtime. And I really like the sophomore Brooks, probably had his best game of the year. So right now, I'm going to go with the Bluff, but there's kind of
it's going to be a great game.
On a side note to that, can they be mentally focused? I think they share the ball and are the most unselfish team that I've seen play this year. They don't care who gets the credit. They don't care who scores. They seem to make the right plays. The chemistry is terrific for their team. The only thing I think gets in their way sometimes is themselves with their mental toughness. They got to play through a bad call or something not going their way. If they do that, they're really, really, really good. So I'm going with the Bluff over Lakeview.
Seath?
Whose camera just died?
Didn't die, just went to sleep. Didn't die, just went to sleep.
So did your mic.
Yeah, yeah. Some technical difficulties back here that nobody else is really seeing, but, hey.
Sup us.
We're A-okay. We're good.
Come on, 3 happy. Let's go.
Is this going to end up being an audio, or this actually be?
No, we're on. Go.
Okay, just go.
This that 3 happy thing's not going away.
Not anytime soon.
Not anytime soon.
Love it.
$10 says Sutton says something about it. $10 says something.
Probably.
But I don't know. I've not seen either of these teams, and that throws me for a loop. I'm used to seeing some teams before Lanierland hits around, so I get a feel for them. But I'm going to trust the rest of you guys' judgment. I'll go Cherokee Bluff.
Oh boy,
Walker, did you pick? I think you did, didn't you?
I did. Yes.
Okay. So we all have Cherokee Bluff, right?
Yep.
That is surprising.
All right, so we need to speed up here because we got to get Walker to a meeting. So let's speed up on these next. We've got East Hall and Gainesville.
I'll go first here because I think that this is an intriguing game, a huge rivalry game in Lanierland, but the size of Gainesville, Coach Pittman pointed it out when we made the first pick. I think that's the difference in this game. They're just too big, too strong, and in some positions too athletic. Give me Gainesville to make it to the championship.
I'll go next. Look, this is at East Hall, and we've seen things happen in this rivalry. Gainesville is they're huge, and that's going to be a problem for East Hall. But East Hall is finally getting this game at home. That's gonna matter. But I think in the end, Gainesville wins this game.
Well, this Gainesville team, everybody always thinks they're not gonna make it, and then they find a way. They always get in. Gainesville gets in again.
Wow.
Go ahead.
Wow. I thought we had a visitor come in the door or something. Oh, my God. Great game. It'll be a great atmosphere out in Rabbit Town, one you don't want to miss. I tell you, the kid that I was impressed with when I watched Gainesville play is number 3, KJ White. Kevin White might be the best point guard I've seen play this year. Can score, can go from one to the other very quickly, does a good job in transition, getting his other teammates involved. I think he is a key factor in handling the pressure from East Hall. And then, of course, Gainesville's size will be able to somewhat eliminate the athleticism that East Hall has, or at least contradict it, if that's the right word there. Joe Dix does a great job. He'll have a good scheme. I would love to see him shrink the roster a little bit for that game and play 7 or 8 on 7 or 8. I think that would make it a little more interesting, but that's none of my business. I've
threw it out there.
I've seen the rosters. Joe will do a great job with his team. It's his team, but I'd love to see that. But I think Gainesville ends up winning in a very tight game at East Hall.
Yeah, I think you were talking about Bluff and their mental toughness just a moment ago.
Yes.
Can they stay, focused in the game? East Hall still has some youngsters. You talked about Langston. He's a young player who's coming on, who's improving, and can be very electric at times, especially around the rim. But you're talking about Gainesville and their height. You're talking about Kevin White, who Coach Gibbons said earlier is going to be the guy at point guard, who is the leader on the floor. I think this is going to be a very close game. I'll echo those words. A very close game. I wouldn't be surprised if it went into.
No, don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it.
Stop it.
That's
You
on the
don't
radio.
do it.
That game's on the radio.
Don't do
say
it, Bo.
Don't say it. Don't
You
say it.
stop it.
I'm
No,
going to pick Gainesville.
Okay.
All right, so looks like we've
say
all agreed. We've got the Bluff in Gainesville.
We do.
We do. I'll host this last one
All
for
right,
you,
go
Bo,
for it.
Since Seth muted you. So we've all got Cherokee Bluff, Gainesville. Who wants to go first on this one? Because I don't.
Oh, you don't want to go? Oh,
No.
I'll go first. Fine, I'll go first. Love the Bluff team. They're coming in defending champs. I know they didn't want us to pick them this far, but here they are. Love this team. Coach, I agree with everything you say. There's great chemistry on that team. I love what Coach is doing over there. But it's just hard to get past when you look at 6'7", 6'7", 6'4", 6'5". I mean, again, small college team. That's hard to beat at the high school level when they're also good. I just think it might be a little much for Bluff to bite off. I think it is a close game, but I think the size of Gainesville eventually just wears them down. So I'm picking Gainesville to win the Lanierland for the first time in a few years.
I don't think I have too many words, except this is going to be a good game. It's going to be a good championship game on the boys' side, probably a great one, if it ends up the way that we're predicting it.
And hoping.
I'm going with Gainesville this one.
What I think could be interesting is this game's at Gainesville, but it might be a very pro Cherokee Bluff crowd.
How you think?
It's a championship game, and it always seems like all the Hall County schools kind of band together in the championship when it's against Gainesville.
And that fires Gainesville up, I'm going to tell you. It does.
Yeah, it does. And that's kind of why I'm going to go with Gainesville. I think Cherokee Bluff has the pieces to be able to keep this game very competitive, but at Gainesville and Gainesville feeling like they're, maybe on the road in their own gym, I think is the difference that pushes Big Red over the top.
If this was at Cherokee Bluff, would we be talking a little different about that?
I don't know, Coach.
Seth, I want to go last. Who do you pick, Seth?
I don't think it makes one difference whatsoever whether it's a Cherokee Bluff or Gainesville at all. I think being at Gainesville for Cherokee Bluff is just they don't care. They're gonna walk in there and they're gonna win.
Okay.
The text.
So you got Bluff winning. There we go.
Hey, yep, we got a text. What's the text? What's
you got
that text?
Bluff winning or Gainesville winning?
Bluff.
You picked Bluff.
Oh, okay.
I picked Bluff.
Okay.
Okay.
I think they walk in with a lot of swagger and a lot of confidence
And win that game.
and win that game.
And you said we got a text
Yes.
from.
So
I'm not going to share
Yeah.
the text, but we got a
Who's
text.
it
Go
from?
ahead, Coach.
Who's it from, though?
Go ahead, Coach.
Are we ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay. So I think it's going to be, you better get there early if you want to see.
Early.
I think it's going to be that type of game with a lot of hype. I think both teams, to your point, Seth, are going to come in with a lot of confidence. Bluff wanting to go back-to-back, Gainesville wanting to win it and make a statement, especially in their home building. To me, I think the key is the chemistry of the Bluff. They have so many kids that can score the ball. On the flip, Gainesville's got, the size, but what I think is going to be intriguing to me is, can the size defend Kirsch 23 feet from the basket? Can they defend Glover 23 feet from the basket? Because they can both score the ball from three, they can take you off the dribble, and both have a really good arsenal and bag of tricks, if you want to go there, around the bucket to score as well. So there's so many intriguing matchups. I love the matchup between KJ White and Tyler Underwood. It's kind of strength versus quickness, which will make for a fun watch. At the end of the day, I think the Bluff makes shots. I think the Bluff does enough because they're sneaky athletic and their chemistry. I think the Bluff wins 5 or less. I think it'll be that tight.
Wow.
And there it is. There it is. The bracket has been set by us.
So
Who knows?
We have kind of split on the Bluff.
We are
and Gainesville
split.
For the boys,
We are.
For the girls, we have
Lakeview.
everybody.
I think everybody picked Lakeview.
Everybody
Yeah.
picked
Just
Lakeview.
Too much there. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to know what this text is about.
Looking forward to the tournament. Tips off Thursday. Thursday. Thursday, 4 p.m. Two sites,
Well
East
done,
Hall,
Bo.
North
We'll
Hall.
be in Atlanta with Jefferson.
That's right.
Hey, and Bo, just reminding folks, please let us know some feedback on some of the things we posed there at the beginning.
What
of
do you
the
think
show.
about Lanierland?
Listen,
The-
I think we'll get plenty of feedback.
I think
guys.
it's time for the
Yeah, maybe
community
so.
to weigh in. The community needs to
I don't
weigh in
think
on what they
feedback
want.
will be what
Please
they
they
weigh
like
in.
to see.
Please weigh in on maybe a few tweaks to Lanierland.
Guys, we got to get out of
And
here
again-
before someone traces our IP address.
Right, and just a reminder to you, Thursday, 4 p.m., Friday, 4 p.m., and then Saturday, it starts at 9 a.m. at Gainesville. So if you want to watch all the games, that's where you got to be and got to do. So for the entire crew, enjoy the 65th edition of Lanierland. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.